The Vegas Forward podcast delves into the lives of the people in our community, uncovering not only what they do, but who they are. Business may keep our city strong, but it's the individuals that continue to create, innovate, and push Vegas forward. Awesome. Bobby Besabe, thanks for joining us on the Vegas Forward podcast. Super excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're currently doing, and kind of start from there.
Yeah, so my name is Bobby Besabe. I'm the creative director for the UFC, and I oversee just the creative services that go on. So you'll see a lot of the UFC posters, a lot of the marketing assets, some social media stuff. Kind of comes through me and my team.
Okay.
Probably the thing we're known for the best is the posters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are always getting
How much time does it take to create one of those?
I mean, it just depends. My team is just they're fantastic team. So
Right.
we can knock out stuff pretty quickly at this point because it's just in our blood.
Sure.
We do it day in and day out every day. So
Yeah.
My team's just
They just crush it now at this point.
They crush it at this point. Honestly, when I first started, they were, it was a great team, and they had great bones and everything, and it's been a great pleasure to work there because I feel like all I have to do is just kind of give them little hints, give them little
tips
pushes
and stuff. Yeah,
here and there. I've never had to teach anybody how to design on my team.
That's
everybody
awesome.
there is just fantastic designers, art directors. So it's
Cool.
been great.
Sounds like a cool job to have.
Yeah.
Dynamic company too. Yeah.
I've been doing it for close to 20 years now, I feel like.
Wow. Over at UFC?
No, not at UFC.
Just design in general.
Just design,
Nice.
creative direction, art direction in general.
Cool. So let's start way back when Bobby was a kid. Okay.
Sure.
So where'd you grow up?
So I was born in Long Beach.
Okay.
Went to school out there for a little bit, middle school ish, and then I think around then we moved to Orange County.
Okay.
In California.
Nice.
Went to high school out there, and then went back to downtown LA for college. I went to the Fashion Institute.
Okay. My cousin went there actually.
Yeah.
FIT.
Yeah. No, Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandise. So FITM.
Oh, I mean, that's where she went. I butchered the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. She went there. She taught there for a little bit afterwards.
Oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking about trying to teach a class there, but now it's harder because obviously I live
here.
Vegas.
Yeah, exactly.
So to go out there once a week, it's kind of difficult. But
Yeah, she moved out here too. It's too expensive out there to live. It's crazy.
I'm telling you, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so much nicer over here.
Yeah.
Since I moved over here, I'm just oh, that's how much rent should cost, or
Yeah.
right now I'm actually in the middle of buying a house.
Okay.
It's my first house.
Okay.
So I'm born and raised in California. I'm
Yeah.
buying a house is just not going to happen. You just kind of don't really think about it.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And so we moved here. I worked at UFC, been 3 years or so.
Okay.
And I just moved downtown, in the arts district.
Yeah.
And after I moved, I was like, oh, houses are only this much over here?
Yeah, yeah.
It's oh, I could totally afford that.
And they've gone up a lot too.
Yeah.
It's
And-
still cheap from what you're used to, probably.
Exactly. And I'm oh, I could totally afford that. And
Yeah.
so now we're trying to buy a house.
Nice.
And,
That's awesome.
To me, it's just never been on the cards because
Yeah.
it's just
Oh, you got to. I
I got to be a millionaire at least
Yeah,
to get a house in California.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw one the other day. It was $850,000 for just the worst looking house I've ever seen.
In California.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're buying your dumps. I mean,
Yeah.
when my cousin lived there, she was renting,
Yeah.
but she literally lived right next to LAX. So she was like, "Oh, I'll drive you to the airport," and I hate flying.
Yeah.
So I grabbed my bag and my suitcase, and my wife and I would walk into her. We're about to walk into her apartment, and literally a jet flew directly over our heads. And I was like, "What do you live in Terminal D?" I was like, this is scary shit.
That's got to be scary. Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, it constantly planes going over her house, and you don't get a lot for your money out there. So when you were in Cali, how long were you there? You said through high school, middle school, or
pretty much most of my life. I think I moved out of the country around when I turned 28-ish.
you went to Australia, right? Is that what you?
Yeah. So I had been working in the entertainment industry in LA for a long time.
Okay.
Mainly worked at agencies, doing working on video games, movies,
Okay.
that kind of stuff. And then I don't know, it's just kind of a bucket list thing. Me and my wife were hey, you want to move to Australia? And she's like, yeah. I was like, all right, cool. Bought a ticket like that day.
Oh, no kidding.
For like, I think I want to say like 6-7 months in advance. We're like, all right, we're out of here.
Oh, no. How long ago was that?
So that was, I want to say like 20. What year is it now? 2022. So maybe like 2015.
Oh, wow. You look too young to be married that long, number one. And also,
yeah,
that's awesome. So when you were in Australia, like, how do you know where to live, where to go, what to do? You just literally just bought a ticket and just left?
Just kind of winged it.
Yeah,
to be honest. Like,
that's awesome.
It was, I mean, I was lucky enough that I'd been freelancing for a long time.
Okay.
I had like a good list of clients, so I knew that I could have work still in the United States while living over there. But other than that, didn't really know. We were just kind of like, we're smart people. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. What does your wife do?
So back then she worked in fashion. She was kind of like a stylist.
Oh, cool.
For like, photo shoots and stuff. And she worked at this company called Farfetch.
Okay.
And well, she wasn't really much of a stylist there, but she worked there and then would do styling on like kind of more like a passion project kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. So you started off when you moved there as freelancer?
In Australia, yeah. I only freelance over there.
Okay.
I just because I didn't know where to work. I didn't know the agency lists over there. I didn't know who was good, who was bad.
Yeah.
So I would just freelance, take jobs on, and honestly, it was more of a experience time when we were down there. So I would work for like 3-4 months, take 1 month off. Work for 3-4 months, take 1 month off.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was. I mean, my main goal was just to really experience it.
Yeah.
The working was just the means to be able to.
So why Australia? And why not anywhere else? You just curious? Just spun a globe and you're like, yeah.
I mean, you're not that far off.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I'd always wanted to live and work in another country. And I used to be fascinated with Europe and UK.
Yeah.
Just influences, movies.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I just loved it. I always wanted to go there. Found out how cold it was over there. And I'm like, I'm not a cold kind of person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So when this all came up, I was like, oh, now's the time that I should go move across. And I was like, wait, I don't really want to move there because I know how cold it is.
Yeah.
And then, I kind of just went like this on a Google map. I was like, oh, Australia, that sounds good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they kind of looked at it from there.
And how long were you there?
A couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't too long. I feel like we were there for like, because we left, I want to say we left after about a year.
Okay.
But then we like lived in Bali for a while.
Oh, wow.
New Zealand. We kind of just bounced around before we actually made it.
I had a friend that went to Bali. We lived there for a little while, and I didn't talk to him about it, but the photos are incredible. I mean, it's a beautiful place.
It is beautiful. We thought about staying even longer, but then it was when you really kind of thought about it. I was like, what am I going to do on a daily basis?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm only going to be meeting a bunch of tourists. Like,
sure,
yeah. I don't know. I don't speak the language. I mean, everyone that I met there would be like Australian for the most part.
Okay.
I was like,
so you didn't see the long-term type thing.
I didn't.
Right?
We were there for maybe like a month.
Okay.
Before we're like,
it's time to go.
This is not.
So it was Australia, then Bali.
Australia. So we did Melbourne.
Okay.
Sorry, no, we did Sydney first. Lived there for about maybe like 8 months.
Nice.
And then Melbourne for maybe another like 6-7 months.
Okay.
Then moved to Bali. And then that was just kind of like just more transition period till we got to New Zealand.
Okay.
I have a good friend in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And we just stayed with him. He kind of just showed us around.
Nice. What'd you like better? What was your favorite place you went?
I mean, it just depends on what you're looking for. Like, I think New Zealand was my favorite of everything. Like, that would be a place that I'd love to live. I just love the culture there. I love it's not, completely laid back where you're just like kind of
sitting on the beach or
it's not like that.
Yeah.
But it's not so headstrong and like I have to step on people to be successful. I didn't get that kind of vibe. Australia a little bit was like that too. Like it had a more focus on like the employee focus there was just different. Like you're expected to take days off. You're expected to
the work-life balance is completely different. Yeah. Nice. So you were there for a few years, and then what made you move back? You moved back to the States after that?
Yeah, we moved back to the States. I mean, honestly, it was a great time. Loved it. The bouncing around to us kind of eventually caught up because we're like, on paper sounds great, but when
Yeah.
you really think about like, okay, moving several times within a couple years, you get to a new place and you have to find out where's your local coffee shop. You have
Yep.
to find a new place to rent, and you got to go through that whole
process,
and
yeah.
You got to find out, all right, what are the cool spots over here? Where's my daily life going to be centered around when I'm living here?
Sure.
Where's the bar that I'm going to go to? Like,
Yeah, you're not familiar with the surroundings.
so
Yeah, so you
it's-
got to keep learning. right?
exactly. It's fun because of that, because
Yeah.
like everything feels new and like all that. But then once you get past that kind of what's the word? Not grace period, but like
Yeah, the beginning, the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now I just got to do like the normal stuff, and it's hard. 'cause,
Sure.
like, I don't know where to go.
Yeah, because we're on vacation. You're at a hotel
Yeah.
and you're just bopping around.
Yeah,
you don't even
yeah.
care where you're going, right? You're
Exactly,
drunk
yeah.
half the time, probably.
Exactly.
So, nice.
Yeah.
So where did you move after that?
So after that, I just moved back to LA.
Okay.
LA is like, I love LA.
Yeah.
I moved back there, kind of just went back, worked with some of the old companies that I had worked with.
Okay.
And
So you're still doing freelance then?
I was still doing freelance. Yeah.
And I saw you worked at an agency for a while too, correct?
Yeah, I worked at a few different agencies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, the freelance, I was just working everywhere really.
Yeah. What were some of the agencies you were at?
In LA.
Yeah.
The one that I was at the longest was called Petrol Advertising.
Okay.
So that's actually where I kind of got my start.
Got it.
So when I was in school at FITM, I got an internship there.
Okay.
This is where I learned so much of what I know today in terms of design,
Sure.
in terms of illustration.
Yeah.
Really just came out of them because that house put out so many fantastic things. You still see their work today. They do all the video game coaches for like Call of Duty.
Oh wow.
I think they probably still work on Destiny. I'm sure you've seen their
They
stuff.
probably charge big bucks, right?
I was always the artist, so I never really saw the budgets, but
Yeah. But big companies,
Yeah.
primarily.
Yeah.
And so how long were you there for?
I was there for maybe 7-8 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I was really close with the owner too. He was kind of like one of my mentors.
Yeah.
Really took me in. I even actually ended up living with him for a while.
Oh, cool.
Because he had like
A big ass house.
well, he had a big ass house, and he had he had this clock tower on his property.
Okay.
And so like the kind of running joke was like I was Quasimodo because I was living in the boss's like clock tower.
In his clock tower, really?
And it was like a 3-story clock tower, and like the bottom one
How
just had
crazy is
been
that?
refitted to be like a kind of like a spare bedroom kind of thing.
Oh wow.
Um,
Interesting.
Had a kitchen and bathroom and stuff, so it was
he,
great.
He had the money to live in LA. Yeah.
He had more than enough of the money to live in LA. We lived in Glendale, which I don't know if you know the area, but a lot of
Yeah.
celebrities live over there.
Yep.
And so I would see like Bryan Cranston, I would see The Game, I would see. I used to play basketball with, like Robert Ory because he was at the 24-hour fitness where I used to play basketball.
Oh, no
So
kidding.
He would come out.
Yeah.
Chauncey Billups. It's just like the people that live in the area, like
Yeah, they're all like celebrities and
just net
were they
worth.
friendly?
Oh yeah, they were all friendly. Net worth was just like
up there. Yeah.
And I'm like.
Yeah,
Little
like,
kid, like
I live in a clock tower.
Yeah, exactly. A little
That's
clock tower
awesome.
kid.
Yeah. So that's cool. So so we're from LA. So LA straight to Vegas or
Yeah, for the most part. So the way I ended up coming to Vegas was through the UFC.
okay.
So I started off at Petrol. UFC was one of their clients, and it was one of the projects that I was probably the most passionate about back
Sure.
then, because back then I was like training to fight and stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
that was like a lot of fun. So they were like one of my main clients. I did a lot of posters back then for them. Left, kind of gone off, did my own thing. Like came back several years later, kind of full circle when I came back to the States, and I was freelancing. I was just trying to look for some work, and Heidi Nolan, who's my boss now, her LinkedIn came up on my feed, and I was like, oh, I wonder how she's doing. So I hit her up and said, hey, I'm freelancing now. If you ever need any help with any posters or key art, let me know. And she's like, yeah, absolutely. So like, I started working with them directly, and like, was just doing posters for them while I was doing my other jobs.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, like, maybe a year or two into doing that.
Yeah.
Actually, before I even say this, the funny part is like, I'm having lunch with a friend of mine, and we're just talking. We've worked together for a long time. He's a good friend of mine. He works at Netflix now.
Okay.
He's a writer, and we were having lunch, and he's like, "Man, I know you love like UFC. Like, would you ever, just pick up and move to Vegas if like you could live
If you had a
there and
job?
work
Yeah.
there?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Like in a heartbeat."
Yeah.
Like, and literally, I want to say 6-7 days later, I get an email from Heidi, and she's like, "Hey, the creative director that was there before me,
Yeah.
Rachel was her name. She's leaving. Rachel's leaving,
Okay.
and we're looking for someone to kind of come on board full time, like
Oh, wow.
creative director." And I was like, "Wow."
You were
Like,
just talking about it. Yeah.
I was just talking.
So it wasn't
about
from your friend. Your friend didn't call her or anything like that.
No, nothing
Just
like
random,
that.
right?
Random. I
It's
mean, like
crazy.
we would talk every once in a while because of work, and I was doing work for them. But she randomly called me or sent me an email, and I was like, "Oh." And I was trying to play it off really cool, like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, let me think about it. Let me just.
I'll
like,
get back to you.
Yeah, I'll get back to you. Let me weigh the options and see." And in my head, I'm like, "Oh hell yeah."
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's how you started that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's a crazy
yeah,
story.
it's pretty much.
So you just like literally took the job, and then how long after until you moved to Vegas?
I mean, the process, I don't know. The process, I feel like, took a few months because, it was just like there was an interview process. I went through a couple different interviews. I met with Dana and Craig Borsari, who's like one of the executives as well.
Yep.
So I met with them. They flew me out. So I want to say it took a few months, and then finally, I didn't hear from them for a while. And I was like, "Oh man, maybe I'm like too confident. I wasn't."
Yeah.
And then then I maybe thought I did better than I did.
Sure.
So I didn't hear from them, and then I just get an email saying like, "Yeah, like
Come on down.
come on down."
Nice.
So from there, they kind of helped me just move. I had to come out here, just check out some spots.
Where'd you move to when you first came here?
I think the area was called Spring Valley.
Okay, so like
But-
central-ish kind of.
But it wasn't really Spring Valley. It's
Yeah.
more 215 in Durango.
Okay, yeah,
by
so
the
southwest
IKEA,
area.
by the IKEA.
Yeah, nice.
Um,
Was it a shock? Because I know a lot of my friends
Yeah.
are from LA. They always end up going back. Like there's some tie
yeah.
that California
Yeah.
has where
Yeah,
people.
no, it does.
Yeah.
Like me and my wife talk about that all the time. Like we all of our friends there. That's where we
Sure.
grew up. I mean, like that's where we feel the most home. And there was a moment where we were like, I can't do Vegas.
Sure.
This is not going to work out.
Yep.
And we were going to move back, but we ended up finding like a really good group of friends out here.
That's awesome.
And I think, one thing I've learned with all my travels is like when you go somewhere, you have to find like that community of people.
100%. Yeah.
If you don't have that, you're just not setting yourself up to be successful when you move, because your everyday is just kind of like, all right, it's just me and my wife. Like that's fun, but
Yep.
like, what about when we want to do something and I don't want to see her face right now?
100%. Yeah, like my wife works from home.
Yeah.
She works for a company out of South Carolina.
Yeah.
And she went through phases early on where she grew up in North Carolina. It's very different from going from like, you got the beach and the mountains to the desert, right? And she's like, "Oh, I want to get out of here." And I've been here since 2002. It's like more than half my life almost. So I love it out here, but it's different. And if you don't have that community, like you said, like there's that group of core people, it's tough. I think that's no matter where you live, right?
I think it's harder and harder too. What I notice as you get older, because
Yeah.
like when I was younger, it's like, oh, my community of people were like whoever I saw at the bar all the
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like my local bar. Like,
Yeah,
that's who
you
I
meet
met.
people there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you get older and older, and you do that less and less, and it's just like, where do I find these people now? Like,
No, yeah.
and like in a basketball league, or like
Yeah.
I just do jujitsu or something, and like I meet people there and
Nice.
kind of build people through that.
So you still do jujitsu or?
Nah, not. I wouldn't say so. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a group of friends. We get together at work and we'll just go wrestle and do
Nice.
some grappling. They'll show me some stuff.
Yeah.
But I've never been like a very good jujitsu person. I
Yeah.
just like to sweat.
Yeah, one of our designers is big into jujitsu, so
Yeah.
he's done tournaments and kind of, he loves it because they talk about community. Like he's got a bunch of, now he calls them his brothers. I mean, they're super tight.
Yeah, I think I met him because he was
Carell. Yep.
Yeah. I think I met him when we were starting that project.
Oh, okay.
Was it?
Oh, when you guys did the tour, yeah.
Yeah, when we did the tour, because he was actually working out with one of my coworkers.
Okay.
At the time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So how big is your team over there at UFC?
Let me see. I want to say like 10, 11, 12 people. Something
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We service like
You
the
guys
whole
crank out a
corporate-
ton of stuff. I mean, it's crazy.
ton of stuff.
You're just used to it now.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah. No, like I said, like the team is just fantastic. Like they grind and they get through stuff. You know, I think I just like to make sure that they have what they need and try to give them the good environment that,
Yeah.
you know, that lets them be creative and do the things that they want to do.
So when you lead up to a fight, it's what is it, every week you guys have something going on? Seems like
It's almost every week now.
yeah. So it's like, I mean, is it like on to the next thing every like the second
Well,
the weekend's over? It's like Monday's like
And the funny thing is, like, our team is kind of like ahead of it. So
Mhm.
we typically will work on stuff like farther down, like the timeline.
okay.
So by the time fight week comes up, it's like most of that stuff.
Oh, it's all planned out for a
is-
month or
is
two.
kind of
ahead.
already done. It's
Gotcha.
just like more like last minute stuff. Like, oh, you know, someone's gonna be here. Can we get some graphics for this or something like that?
Nice. So when you find like new hires or when you're looking for people, like what are some, obviously their skill set, right? But what are some characteristics you look for in finding a solid designer?
I mean, obviously the good attitude.
Yeah.
You know, somebody friendly. I feel like, you know, I've been burned in the past by going too hard into the portfolio. Like, oh, this person's got really great work, and
Sure.
I know what they can contribute to the team. But then they might not have the best personality. Or,
Correct.
You know,
Work ethic, things like that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think taking the skill and the portfolio outside of it, I think it's someone that you can really come into the team, be, you know, a joy to work with. Like,
Yeah.
you just want someone that you can work with on a daily basis.
100%.
If it's a senior person, I want somebody that's like a senior person that loves to teach other people,
Mhm.
that loves to like share their knowledge. No egos.
Yeah,
nothing like
that's
that.
tough. You know, I'm the same way whenever I look for a new hire. You want to feel like you can go out for a beer with the person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because I always say you can always teach someone skills,
Yeah.
but you can't, like Genevieve, who worked on the project for you guys, when she first came on, like Carell and I met with her, and, you know, she'll admit, I mean, her design work was not where it needed to be, but we're like,
Yeah.
there's something about this girl that we just
Yeah.
like. And now, I mean, she kills it, right? I
Yeah,
mean, she
yeah.
does phenomenal work. And, you know, I think that's something that if someone's hungry enough and willing to learn, right, that'll come, right? So,
Yeah, and like just speaking from my own experience, like that was me, and that's who, you know, I kind of have extra appreciation for is those people, because like I was never the best designer. I was when I did my intern. Actually, this is another funny story. So when I did my internship at Petrol, and maybe if they hear this podcast, they'll know what happened and like might want to talk to me. So like, you know, at school we get this internship at Petrol.
Sure.
And you know, at the end of the course or whatever you want to call it, they hire one person.
yeah.
I was not the person that was
Hired.
chosen
Okay.
to be hired, and like I don't blame them. My friend, she was a much better designer than I was, so
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that totally makes sense.
Sure.
But at the end of the internship, they're like, oh, we offered the thing to her. I was like, oh, cool, congratulations, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I still kept showing up.
Oh, really?
Kept showing up. Like I wasn't getting paid. I wasn't getting school credit.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I was just like, I was just one of those hungry kids that was just like, I don't like. I remember that situation saying like, they're gonna have to tell me not to come in. They're
You're like the
gonna
guy in
tell me
Office Space that they put in the.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, my little Steve. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
exactly that
Yeah.
kid, and
Yeah.
like, I was just like, I'm learning so much here, and I could feel my design skills getting better.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna leave unless they like force me out of here.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was first one in, last one out. That was kind of like my reputation there because I knew I wasn't that good.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, I know I'm not the best
You have-
designer.
and what better place to learn, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, we've done internships too, and it's like you learn stuff in school, right?
Yeah.
But it's a book, and it's funny. Like even developers we hired that came out of school didn't know how to actually launch and go live with a website, like basic stuff.
Yeah.
And once you get in the real world, it's a whole different experience, you
Yeah.
know. And it's no better place to learn. So
Yeah. And it's just like, and you learn as you go. I mean,
Yeah.
like really, you're not really gonna get the experience unless you're sitting there doing like real
Over it.
life work. You know?
yeah, yeah. But that just proves, right? Like that, like hard work is everything. You know, you know, and you ended up getting a job there later, right? Like,
it was
Yeah.
kind of funny. So like,
yeah,
the owner, his name's Alan. he comes into like my office one day. It's like where the interns sit, and I was like the last one in the building, and he's always having to kick me out every night.
Yeah,
and he's like, all right, you got to go, kid. Like we're done here. And this is like maybe a couple of months after like I had already not gotten the job.
Yeah,
he's like, you're still here? I was like, yeah. He's like, are we paying you? I was like, no. He's like. He had this like kind of like, oh crap, am I gonna get in trouble? Like,
yeah.
And I was like, but you guys didn't tell me I couldn't come back. You just said I didn't get the job.
That's
like,
awesome.
You didn't say like I had to stop coming.
Yeah.
And so after that, he's like, I think he appreciated it.
Oh, without doubt.
Basically, the HR came back to me the next day. It's like, yeah, you can't be doing that.
Oh, no way.
Like, so they paid me like whatever minimum wage or something to like just get me a job there, because he was just like, I can't not offer this kid something. Like,
yeah, because I mean, nobody else, all the other interns went home probably, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. And then you get to live in his tower, right?
Yeah, that was like several years later when he's, is helping me out, like just, because I was like trying to save money and, pay off like a bunch of like credit cards that I got into because I was like 18. Like,
yeah, we all have that story.
Yeah, I was 18. Like, oh, you want a credit card, kid?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah. I remember moving here in Vegas when I was like 20. I actually started off in the nightclub business, and I was like buying bottles.
That's a rough business. Right?
Oh
like, I have so much like hatred and respect for those people, because like I hate when I'm like walking around like, hey, you want to come to this club? I'm like, no, man, I'm 35.
Too old.
I'm good.
I know. I actually went to a club for the first time in forever. My buddy was in town, and he's like, let's just do it old school. I'm like, screw it. Yeah, we went to the XS, and we knew a guy, and he got us in the front of the line, and we went in, and I went out the wrong door. Yeah. And that guy was gone, and they made me wait in line to get back in. I was like, I don't have the pull I used to, right? But it's a crazy business. I mean, I mentioned on the podcast before, it's like my college education, almost like your internship. It was like 6-7 days a week. I would wake up.
Were you like a promoter or?
So I started off. I actually went to UNLV. That's why I moved out here to go there, and started off one of those guys that you hate. Passed out 2-for-1 drink coupons.
The hustle.
Yeah. But like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I liked. I went to school for hotel restaurant management, and here I am, waste of money.
You're managing
there's food here. And we have a refrigerator.
There you go.
So, but it's just I started off that, and then I did really well, and they promoted me to director of marketing, and then I was, hosting all this kind of stuff. But it was a crazy life, man. It's like you're up all night. It's a young man's game. I mean, I would be in the office from like 9 to when I showed up, from 9 to 2, and then go home, sleep, eat, be at one bar for like till like 1 a.m, go to the next one. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, like when we had like a through Alan, he always had the money. So like when we would go to Vegas, we did Vegas in a way that I could never have experience without knowing someone like him, you know, because it's like when the money's just like whatever you want to do. So he had like this host that would just like give us free stuff, take us places, and I'm like, oh man, it's so cool. I know he doesn't care about me, but like
exactly, but you're with him, right?
But I'm with him, so that was just, and I would always just be like, man, this guy's like job seems like it could be cool, like on like social media, it probably looks really cool. Yeah, but I can't imagine that's that fun. Like coming home at 2 a.m. every day.
Oh no. I was at the Knights game just the other night, and I bumped into all the guys that I used to work with. Like they were my managers, and they all got gray hair now and fucking kids.
They're still working over there?
No, all of them are out of the business. I mean, I think there's one guy that's still in it. It's like I said, it's a young man's game. It's exhausting, but you learn a lot. Like I learned about marketing, and even I'm not a designer, but just what content and what promotion we want to run, planning out calendars, stuff like that. That if you look at your life, I mean, everything you did kind of led to where you are today, which is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. But so you're at UFC now. You manage the team. What's the general culture and stuff like that? You don't get into too much detail, but
it's a great culture. Like I like it. I appreciate it. Like everyone that works there is a fan of UFC. You don't get a lot of people that are like, oh,
I don't know what it is.
Stuff like that. Like, I think it kind of probably weeds out a lot of those people.
Yeah.
Unless I don't know, maybe some of the departments that just you don't need to know. But like, I think it's so fast paced that if you don't understand the sport, or if you don't understand who's who and what just means.
Yeah.
You're just setting yourself up to fail.
Sure.
Because like
we got to understand what you're, what you're
like,
designing or what you're creating.
Exactly. Yeah. Like nobody has time to explain to you everything. Like,
sure.
We're happy to help. We're happy to guide you, show you the way, but like you've got to know the subject matter, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like working on a movie, but I don't know the name of the title or
yeah,
whatever it is. It's
what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what are some things like, just to jump back to your career and stuff, you did the internship, you put in the work, you ended up getting a job, right? Like, what are some things that you give like tips to people that are younger, that are just starting out in design, that they could learn from your experience?
I think the biggest thing is patience and consistency.
Yeah.
I think, especially nowadays, because when I see portfolios and there's just not enough work, and a lot of times like you're coming out of school and you think that you have to work on client work. I don't have any clients, so I can't do any work.
Yeah.
No, just make something.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You have Instagram now. Look at all these people that are like making stuff for no reason other than just to make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the portfolios that feel
real,
full. Like half the time, like I look at stuff in some of these kids' portfolios, especially the interns, and I'm like, oh, did you work for Nike? No, I just made it for fun. I was like, oh,
yeah,
well, it looks like a Nike ad,
which
like,
is cool.
I don't know any different.
Yeah, yeah.
Could have interned at Nike.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it's just the consistency of like doing it day in, day out. Make one thing a day or at least a couple things a week.
Yeah.
Whatever your time allows, and then just being patient. Like I think. I get a lot of messages from people on Instagram like that want to come work at UFC, and they're like, I can tell they're just starting their design, and I'm like, you're way far before you should even be talking to me. Like, be patient. Like, UFC's not going anywhere. We're gonna be here. Yeah. So, if you want to work there or you want to like get a job in design, like. Just be patient with your skills. Like it's gonna come. Like it's gonna start to click.
Or they could just post up at a desk and not get paid. Yeah, that's a good method too. Maybe that works also.
I don't know if security will let that happen, but
that's awesome. No, that's good advice though, because I think it's in any business, right? It's like, I think also maybe sounds like old man talk, but the younger generation is a little bit different. Everything's so quick and fast, and the reality is to build a business or to build a career. It's like it just takes time, and you have to have patience and. There's ups and downs, and you
I was just talking about that the other day with my wife, like just like kids in general, and like I in some ways I'm like jealous that they have so many things that I didn't have, and then in other ways I'm like happy that I didn't have those things.
Yeah.
Some of the things I think about, like since the day they were born, so many things have been so convenient. Like,
everything, yeah.
I mean, and I'm taking this probably to like just. I don't know, the most bare bones like problem that I had like in high school. You know, you're so and so's having a party, and like you're like, I don't drive it. I'm like 14 years old. I don't know how to drive. I don't have my friends don't drive. Yeah. How are we gonna get to this party? Like we gotta find somebody. We gotta problem solve. We gotta be creative. And, like,
gotta pick up a landline. Dial the numbers.
Like I remember one thing I used to do is like if I knew of a party in high school, I used to tell people like if I knew someone had a license, I would say, "Oh yeah, I know where it is, but I don't know the address. So I can't just give it to you. You got to come pick me up, and then I'll show you how to get there."
That's a good move.
So they would have to pick me up, and like it's problem solving.
Yeah.
Whereas now I feel like the problem is like whatever I want. If I'm hungry, I can just get food. If I need a ride, I can get that.
Uber, yeah.
If I want some dopamine and go on like social media, like it's pretty easy.
I know everything. I look at it the same way because I don't know what I graduated high school in '99, and we didn't have cell phone, we didn't have any of that. So I think we had beepers, but like when there was a party or something like that, it would just start word of mouth. Like randomly there'd be like 100 people somewhere, and you're like, how did everyone find out? It wasn't, but it was on social media. Everything's just so easy to disseminate information, and it just.
I wonder what the kids' parties are like now. Like they've got to have some crazies. Because like they can invite the whole school in one post.
That's true, actually. It's a parent's nightmare.
You would try to throw parties like in high school, and like I tried not to tell anyone. I'm just like, hey, just keep it quiet, just a few of us. And all of a sudden there's like 50 people running, and you're like, I said don't tell anybody.
Yeah, and everyone tells everyone. Yeah, that's how it used to work. It's just a whole different world now. Yeah. I kind of am happy the era I grew up in, because we both, I don't know how old you are, but you kind of saw both.
Yeah.
Like
it was right in the middle.
Right. Yeah. And so, like just the difference between growing up with, no technology really, right? And then like Nintendo was huge when it came out, you know, that kind of.
And then all the technology were like everything at your fingertips.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they're like navigating the iPad better than I can.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, you know.
It really is.
How do you think that's going to impact things? I mean, you know, like what are your thoughts? I don't know if you have kids or anything like that.
I don't have kids. I mean, like I feel like it's just kind of like a cycle. Like I know that we look at it and we're scared.
Yeah.
But like I also just feel like that's because we're getting past the point where they're talking to us. The technology companies are talking to us. Like they don't really care about us anymore. It's the next generation that they're talking to. So they're going to grow up and they're going to have hardships, but they're also going to have things easier and better. And I think it will just kind of level each other out. And
makes sense. Yeah.
You know, like if you grow up knowing how to do this from the get-go, you're going to have these advantages and these disadvantages. And it's just like any other generation.
100%. Yeah.
I think there's probably a bunch of other things that are going to be affected and like be more difficult to I don't know, progress in. But I think for the most part, humans will just figure it out.
Exactly. I mean, it always does. It's like if you look at all the generations, you know, it's just, you know, my mom's era were like the hippies, you know, their parents probably thought they were insane. Yeah. And now they're parents and grandparents, and it's
they
normal.
Think the next generation's
exactly.
And it goes on, and it's a continuous cycle.
Yep.
And so I try to catch myself not to be that old person, like, God dang it.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it's frustrating because, like, you know, the younger generation, early 20s, just out of college, they just think differently. Yeah. You know, and like, you know, a lot of people are like scared of. I'm like, hey, did you call the client? They're like, I've emailed him 10 times. He won't respond. I'm like, have you called him once? You know, there's a phone. You know, you can pick that up, and you know, it's just a different way of thinking. You know,
there is so many different things that go on now. Like, it's just insane.
So what are some things like where you see like the city in general going? Like some things that you're excited about. I mean, UFC literally takes up half of the 215 with the buildings, but not just the UFC, but just in general. Like, what are some things you're excited about?
The thing that I'm most excited about is. So when I look at the arts district, and that's where I'm buying a house now. Yeah. I look at that and it reminds me of LA's arts district like 10 years ago, where it was a place where you knew like there's a wave of people that want to live there, that are creative, that are, you know, professionals, and they want a nice place to hang out, but you know, maybe it's not the safest place, or it needs to be renovated. So I see that place just like all like coming up, and it's really like it's really fun to kind of see this now, because I saw that happen in LA, and back then I was kind of on the other side, so I kind of just saw it from a distance. Yeah. And now living here and seeing it, all these, you know, new artist shops opening up, a lot more creative talent coming in here, a lot more bars, restaurants, stuff like that.
It's always something new downtown. It's crazy.
Yeah, I just to me, like that's one of the more fascinating things happening in Vegas, and a big reason why I'm staying in Vegas, because I was not. I mean, we were getting to a point where we were like, okay, this is not going to work for us. We're going back to Vegas or back to LA. Yeah. And it wasn't until we found the arts district that we're like, oh, okay,
this is cool. Yeah, this is unique.
I can see myself here, you know?
Yeah, they're doing all kinds of stuff that like it has been done in other cities, but I've never seen it. You know, it's just different little pop-up restaurants. There's like the test kitchen where they've got like multiple places, and we were talking about Ferguson's downtown. There's just a lot of cool stuff down there. Yeah. Which will continue to evolve, and a lot of that's to do with Tony Hsieh and all the stuff he did down there.
Yeah, I've heard stories about him and, you know, what he's done, and crazy story.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the reason why it's improved. I mean, it was not a place you wanted to go. I mean, there were like barely any bars. Yeah. It was like the dollar beer type, a whole different place you want to go. Yeah. And it still has that element, right? It's urban, but it's definitely changing. And I know the city's putting a lot of effort into revitalizing it, bringing tech down there and things like that, which is kind of cool to see.
I'm surprised. I'm curious to see what kind of tech comes down here too, because I'm big into like crypto and all that stuff, and I'm you know, I'd love to see what kind of companies come out here because of that.
Yeah, and I know there's a big effort to try to relocate, and obviously, like that's why home prices have gone up so much, is because all you Californians.
I'm sorry, everyone. Yeah, I'm sorry here.
Yeah, it's a funny story. I've mentioned it before, but like I lived here back when the market crashed. You know, in 08, was it?
09.
Yeah, 09, 08, and so I owned a place. I had to short sell it, and you know, went through all that. And if you lived here, you did it or your best friend did it or your mom. I mean, everybody was affected, and it was crazy. So when COVID happened, and MGM announced 18,000 layoffs.
Yeah.
I went home. I was like, honey, we got to sell our house. Like we had good equity in it. So we sold it, and we were like, all right, I thought it was a genius. I talked to a lot of smart people, smarter than me. I was like, is this a good idea? Like, I think it's smart, Nick. Yeah. So we ended up renting, and all of a sudden we see prices keep going up and up and up. What I didn't factor in was everybody from California.
Yeah.
It was like a mass exodus out of the state.
Yeah.
And so, prices have gone quite a bit. They seem to be stabilizing now a little bit more. But
yeah, like I feel like, just in the last couple of weeks, like there was nothing on the market because it would be listed and be gone in 2 days.
Yep.
Now it's like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I saw a house on there. I'm like, oh, that house is still there. Like we looked at it.
Yeah.
And we passed on it, but it's still there. And I'm surprised because it's a really nice house.
Yeah.
Really good area. And I'm surprised to still see it there.
Yeah.
And I think it's starting to level off.
It is. Like when we bought, I mean, we were getting desperate at that point. We were like, oh, that was a bad move.
Yeah.
And so the house we ended up buying, there was literally a line of people. And so we had to offer over, and it was a crazy wave of appraisals. I mean, and it seemed to be leveled off, but the inventory is so low right now. It's challenging. So
and like the house that I put an offer on, like I didn't even have to go over this time. There's a couple other houses that we were going to put offers on, and we had to go above what they were asking. This one we were actually able to just go for like the listing price.
How far are you guys in the process?
I did the inspection yesterday.
Oh, cool.
So wherever that is, I don't know.
Nice. So you're about to close then soon, probably.
Probably in the next 2-3 weeks, I would think.
Wow, congrats. Yeah. That's awesome. So where's the house at? You said downtown?
Downtown. Yeah. Like Maryland Parkway-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Is it one of those like older, like
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's like I don't know, just one of the old funky houses from
What do you,
like the 50s.
Is this 50s or?
Yeah, I think it's a 55 or something.
Yeah, there's some cool neighborhoods out there. It's like old mobster neighborhoods, right?
Yeah, it's got like some houses have like the Palm Springs like mid-century modern.
Yeah,
feel.
that's the term. Yeah, mid-century modern. Yeah.
So I really love some of those houses. But,
that's awesome.
I don't know. Our house, I've always thought of our house being somewhat like, is it a contemporary museum or is it a house? Because I don't know. I'm just so over and against like cookie cutter houses.
I know.
So that's
we're known for it here.
Yeah. Like that's what I lived in when we first moved here. And I was like, me and my wife, we hated it. We just hated it.
Yeah. We were in Mountain's Edge, and it was like not far from where you, Southwest area. Right. And it was just like, we bought a nice home, and then there was no other homes in the neighborhood. And then another builder built all these smaller homes. And I felt like there was like 10 people living. There's cars down there. I'm like, get us out of here,
Yeah.
That was another reason why I didn't mind selling it, because it was just time to move on. And there's great neighborhoods out here. It's just there are a lot of that, cookie cutter.
Yeah, I mean that's why I love the arts district in downtown. Like it feels like there's personality.
Yeah,
it feels like I get the thing I love too is like I talk to my neighbors now. Like it's the neighborhood. You walk around, you walk your dogs. Like, hey, how's it going, Rico? Like
oh, cool,
stuff like that. It's whereas my other house within the cookie cutter neighborhood, it was like nobody talked. Nobody talked to each other.
Yeah.
It was just like at most like a hi.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, it makes a big difference in your life. You know what I mean? When you have a nice
community thing, like
100%. Yep.
I heard that they close down the block every once in a while too, and they'll do like for Halloween. And
oh, cool.
Like all the houses like do it up and make like a one long like haunted house row.
Oh, nice. I
was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice to have that. I mean, I grew up in the East Coast in New Jersey, and like it was just different. Like the neighbors all knew each other. They hung out, and out here it's like it's a little bit more sheltered.
Yeah.
In some areas, and so it's funny to say actually when we sold our house in Mountain's Edge, when I mentioned I rented. We lived in a neighborhood that was like Pleasantville. I was like, we literally drove down the street where I didn't know any of my neighbors. Yeah. And I lived there for like, I think we lived there for like 6 or 7 years. Mm-hmm. And we move in, and within days, neighbors were like, oh, nice to meet you. And like, like everyone had an actual text chain. There was like 40 homes only. Yeah, it was like a little gated community, but it was like a whole, and it was just, my wife and I were like, where are we?
Yeah.
Like it was like,
hey, there's somebody in the neighborhood that looks suspicious. Just letting you know.
That's how it was. Yeah. So it was just odd, but it was actually a good experience. I mean, the rental, we were excited to leave, but the neighborhood was cool. And the city's got a lot to offer, you know? And what are some things you guys do like out of work?
So since we got here, I was just trying a bunch of different things. I got into rock climbing for a little bit. I went to like an indoor gym.
Okay.
I found out I like that, but only indoors. I don't want to go to the mountain.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not much of a hiker.
Yeah.
But you know, we go to First Friday, which actually I think that's tonight. There's a First
Oh,
Friday
is there?
tonight. Yeah.
I haven't been there in a long time.
Yeah.
Has it grown or about the same or?
I've only been to like 2 or 3, so
Oh,
I
okay.
couldn't tell you what it was like before. But yeah, I mean, we love going to like these little shows. I think a lot of times, I mean, I'm still just a big fight fan, so like we're always watching fights every weekend.
Do you go to the fights ever?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. Like we've been to fights before, and
Yeah.
they're just a blast. It's a whole different experience. If you get to go to a fight,
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a UFC fan or not. Like it is the best sports experience ever.
I've never been. I've never been to a box. I love boxing too. I've never been to a fight.
It's. I mean, NFL, NBA. Like I don't know what it is about UFC, but like our stuff is just. And I'm not just saying that because I work here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But it's just a different kind of experience. I don't care. Like I've been to NFL games. My 49ers.
NFL games are not the same.
Yeah.
Like I went to a Raiders game. It's the energy is just not there.
Yeah, it's probably because it's smaller.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But that's why. Like it's maybe just more.
Do you ever go to the Knights games?
I haven't been to the Knights game yet. No.
You got to check it out.
Yeah.
Hockey's. I mean, I'm a big hockey fan, so you know. But those games are fun.
Yeah.
It's more intimate. You know, it's 18,000. You know, so. Like same thing as UFC. A lot of the fights are
That's probably
T-Mobile.
why they're more fun because it's just more intimate.
Yeah, I think also with football, there's something about like when you watch on TV, you can see the details.
Yeah. Well, and you got the commentary too. Like
correct. Yeah, and to me, sometimes it's better just hang out at home and watch the game. I mean, going to the game just feels like you're far away, and it's not. I don't know. It's just different, with football. But
I think that's probably why like the metaverse stuff is going to do so well because like it is fun to like just stay at home and watch sports because you get all the whole experience, the commentary, you get like the close up of what the dude actually said sometimes,
Oh yeah.
Which you can't get when you're there.
Yeah. So you guys are going to be here for the long haul, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
That's awesome. And your wife likes it?
Yeah. She's working. She's like she works for eBay. She's runs a warehouse where they authenticate sneakers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like really expensive ones.
Oh, I mean, it's crazy. The sneaker business is like insane. People pay like $500 for a pair of sneakers, right?
Oh, so she got a pair of like LeBron game worn shoes one time. I think they sold for like $26,000.
$26,000.
So her company. I think
does she wear them or does she?
No, her company is kind of like the escrow for shoes. So like,
got it.
If buyer A sells to seller A, the shoes and the money kind of I think go to them first before make sure it's authentic. If it's an authentic shoe, it's not fake, and they like certify it. Then it goes to them, and then the money passes through.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
How'd she fall into that?
I really have no idea. She honestly, I think she just found some listing. Actually, she the company she used to work for was called SneakerCon.
Okay.
And then they got bought by eBay.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So she kind of just a merger or whatever. Yeah. Nice. Cool, man. Well, honestly, it was super nice meeting you in person.
Fast, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty fast. I told you an hour is like that.
Yeah.
But super interesting life. And what I loved the most, obviously, was like when you tell me about the internship. Yeah. I think that speaks volumes about who you are and where you're at, why you're where you are today. It's not everyone would do that. Most people would not. And I think that's a lesson to be learned. And I'm glad you're here in the community and I'm a big fan of Vegas, so it's one of the things we love, meeting people that are creating and doing cool things out here. And obviously the UFC is like really cool. So, but I want to thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. That was a
Awesome.
blast. I had a blast. It was
Awesome.
so much fun.
Thanks, Bobby. Appreciate it, man.